Let me introduce you to the 6 laws of the mind, because they are the foundation of our mind power training. And they explain to us why our thoughts are so powerful and how we can use our thoughts in a very creative way. The first law of the mind: thoughts are real forces. Every thought we think is a force, an energy, and is having an effect in our life. Every thought. Thoughts are not meaningless. They don't just happen within us and disappear. They are vibrations of energy, very powerful vibrations of energy, interacting with the energy web of all reality. And that's what's so exciting about working with the powers of the mind, is that we creatively work with our thoughts, knowing and understanding what we're doing and the effects that we're going to get. The second law is the law of transmission. And the law of transmission states that the mind is a sending and receiving station of thought. You see, the thoughts that we think don't remain within our mind. Actually, energetically, they're traveling through the energy grid system of all reality, creating causes, having effects. These are very powerful forces that we're working with. And our mind is sending and receiving. So what this means is that solutions to our problems, insights, inspiration is always coming to us from our subconscious, because the mind is a sending and receiving station of thought. Law number 3 is the law of attraction. And that states that thoughts that are emotionalized, thoughts that are thought with emotion, they act like a magnet, attracting similar and like thoughts to us. So any thought that we think with emotion becomes supercharged. And this is great to know. Now, if they're negative emotions, if it's like fear or worry or despair or despondency or any negative emotions, we have to be very careful, because they become emotionalized and attract similar and like thoughts. So as soon as you become aware that you're thinking those type of thoughts, what we do is we change them into something else, and that takes the power away from them. And the positive thoughts, like strong desires, our will, our love, our emotions, these we can also use very effectively. So when you have a very strong determination to succeed at something, and you use your willpower, what happens is this emotionalizes it, and it attracts similar and like thoughts, and thoughts are real forces. So you can see by using this law and understanding how you can supercharge your thoughts, this can be very advantageous to you. The fourth law is the law of control. And the law of control states that we are forever thinking thoughts, but we have the power and the ability to either entertain them or dismiss them. This means that any negative thought that is persisting in our mind is there because we are allowing it to be there, because we have the power and the ability to either entertain thoughts or dismiss them. It's a lot like the old parable of the 2 monks that were on a journey, and they come to a river. And by this river is a very beautiful woman. And the woman says to the monks, "Please, will one of you kind monks carry me over to the other side? The river is too wide. The current is too swift." And the 2 monks looked at one another, because you see, they'd taken a sacred vow to not so much as even touch a woman. And then suddenly the older monk bends down and he picks up the woman and he takes her over to the other side and puts her down. And then they carry on in silence. And the younger monk couldn't believe this. An hour goes by, not a word is said between them. 2 hours goes by, 3 hours, 4 hours, not a word has been shared. And then finally the younger monk couldn't handle it anymore, and he turns to the older monk and he goes, "How could you have done that? How could you have carried her?" And the older monk looked at him and he was all surprised. And he said, "Oh, are you still carrying her? I put her down 4 hours ago." And the question that we have to ask ourselves is, what are we carrying around inside us that should have been put down a long time ago? What grudges, disappointments, failures are we hanging on to? I mean, think about it. What are you hanging on to? that you should have put down a long time ago. And how long are we going to carry this inside us? Our whole life? Don't let your mind think you. And that's what happens a lot, is that our mind is thinking us and we're just along for the ride. There's an old saying that the mind is a wonderful servant but a terrible master, and it's true. You see, what we do is we learn to control and direct our thoughts. And we choose the thoughts we think. And equally important, to not think the thoughts that we don't want to think. Because we have the power and the ability to either entertain thoughts or dismiss them. The fifth law is the law of insertion, and that states that we have the power and the ability to insert any thought of any type into our mind. Every day I think thoughts of happiness and inner peace. Every day I think thoughts of health and abundance. Why? Well, why not? We have the ability of inserting any thought of any type into our mind. Of course I'm going to work with this law, and so are you, and you're going to have great results with it. And the final law is the law of connection. And the law of connection states that the inner and outer worlds are connected. The inner world is the world of our thoughts. The outer world is the world of the circumstances and situations that happen to us. And these two worlds are connected. You see, what we think affects what happens to us. We can control and direct our life because we can control and direct our thoughts. Think about that. We have the power and the ability to insert any thought of any type into our mind. And the inner and the outer worlds are connected. I mean, you can see where this is leading. This is a roadmap. It is a roadmap to everything that we want and desire. And that's why the 6 laws are so powerful and why you're going to have great success with them. Now, for best results, what I'm going to suggest that you do is that you contemplate the 6 laws for maybe 5 minutes each day. You see, right now they're just new, they're interesting concepts, but they're only conceptual. What you want to do is you want to move beyond that to where they become a part of who you are. And then you use them intuitively without even thinking about it. And that's where you're going to see amazing results with them.